Hi YouTube, it's the Festy Bunny. Um, a lot of you may not know that I suffer highly from panic attacks. And it's actually something that's very hard for me to live with, and most people wouldn't think that I get panic attacks because I do like to be in the spotlight. I like to perform. I like to be in front of people. I'm a social person, I'm not a hermit. Um, I'm not really an introvert. I'm very much an extrovert. And they wouldn't think that someone like me would have panic attacks or anxiety attacks because I seem very well put together. But just because someone seems very well put together does not mean that they can't have panic attacks, because I do. I have panic attacks all the time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how it feels for me to have an anxiety attack. And also a little bit about how I get through it. Now, I do have medications that I use to help me get through it, but I do like to try simple calming methods before resorting to any kind of chemical medication, just because I think that it's better to rely on your own body to get through something rather than relying on some kind of chemical to do that for you. So, an anxiety attack can strike for me at any moment, and it can be something so little that triggers it that I don't even know what triggers it at the time. It might take me a couple of days to realize, oh yeah, maybe that was it. But actually, one of my big triggers is food. I have an issue with food. I was in a relationship where I was just torn down every day because of food that I would eat and me gaining weight and just the size that I was and the way that I looked, that it destroyed me. And it gave me panic attacks. And now, anytime that I go to eat food, especially if it's in a restaurant or if it's in a public place, I don't feel like I can eat food in front of people because it it sets off an anxiety attack for me. So an anxiety attack for me is this overwhelming feeling that something's wrong. Something's wrong with me, something's wrong with my environment, and everybody can see it. It's almost like it's the elephant in the room. And it feels like everyone in the room can tell that I'm having an anxiety attack, and that just makes me feel embarrassed, and then that triggers more anxiety, and it starts to build on itself. So the first feeling is that something is wrong. It feels like impending doom. It feels like that fight or flight reflex. Like, I need to get away from this situation. I need to get out of it, because something is wrong. The second thing that I usually feel is I need something. Now, feeling that something is wrong and feeling that you need something, or you need to do something, or you need to be somewhere are two separate feelings for me. And usually it's a combination between the two, but it's something's wrong. I need to do something. And, I smoke cigarettes, so sometimes it's like I need a cigarette to kind of, calm down, and sometimes, I'll smoke a cigarette and that won't work, so I'll be like, well, I need something to drink, or I need something to eat, and then having to drink or eat something, that causes more anxiety. So, these things kind of flow and build onto each other. For most people, if you've ever had a situation where you you did something to somebody, or let's say you did something wrong, and you have that kind of attack of conscience, you have that little scratching feeling in your heart of I've done something wrong. It's almost like that. It's almost like feeling guilt, but it's that kind of guilt that eats you up inside. If you've ever had to lie to your parents about something, or if you've ever worried that someone was going to find out about something that they shouldn't have, it's that kind of feeling, but it completely overwhelms your body. But the main difference with an anxiety attack and an attack of conscience is that with an anxiety attack, you have nothing to feel guilty for. You have nothing should be sparking your conscience at all. But it feels like an attack of conscience. And then it starts to get into more physical things for me, which for me, I get hot. And it's that feeling of, it's hot in here. Like, I can just feel the heat coming off of my body, and it usually starts like right around my core, and then my neck will get really hot, and then my head gets all hot, and then it just feels like cold sweat almost, and that feeling of getting overly hot makes me feel nauseous, and it makes me feel sick. If I'm in a public place, that can make me feel even more anxious, because then I'm worried about what if I throw up in public, and then that brings on more anxiety. So another one of the physical side effects that I have with it is that I will literally get sick to my stomach. I will have to go to the bathroom, and I will have to be in there for a while. But I get a really upset stomach, and I think that it goes along with food again for me. But it's that physical reaction. It's that feeling in your stomach of that conscience, that guilt. But imagine it being so overwhelming that it literally churns your stomach and gives you an upset stomach. And that usually happens for me when I'm having an anxiety attack. And being in public when this happens, when, most of the time I'm not going to have an anxiety attack when I'm by myself, because I have nothing really to be anxious about. But the fear of potential embarrassment in public is what can set it off to just go into a complete anxiety meltdown. And that's what makes it horrible, is that for a while I didn't even want to leave my house, because I was afraid that if I left my house, I was going to have a panic attack. I was going to, throw up or have an upset stomach in public, and, everyone was going to know that I was having an anxiety attack, and everyone would think that I was crazy. And it's not that way at all, and I recognize this mentally, but physically my body still reacts this way. So it's a hard thing. But then after the feeling of being sick and getting the upset stomach, my hands will shake, and I'll be trembling, and it's that fight or flight reflex of eventually I just need to go for a walk and get myself away from that area. I need to be somewhere cold, and just kind of cool off and get some fresh air. So most of the time I'll go out and go for a walk or something, but it's that little wanting to run away from whatever it is that caused you anxiety. But the problem is that most of the time it's not one thing that sets it off, or one thing or another. It's just happens with no rhyme or reason to it. It just all of a sudden something's wrong and I have to get away. So it's really weird. So that's kind of how my anxiety attacks feel, and that's how they come on. Now, some of the ways that I deal with them is to first recognize that you're not crazy. You're having an anxiety attack. That's the hardest thing, is to be able to recognize that you're having an anxiety attack, so that then you can start to deal with it. And it's almost like if someone's taking a drug, it's almost like if they have bad experience with that drug, it's almost like having that, telling yourself, it only lasts so long, you just got to ride it out. That kind of thing. So, being able to tell yourself, this will go away. This will stop. This is not permanent. I am in a safe place. And the other thing for me especially is no one's going to judge you for getting up and walking away from the situation. And it's hard for me because, like, I go on business trips to places, and I have to go deal with customers, and, I work for a software company, so I'm having to be very business-like and professional a lot of the time. And, no one really pays any mind if I just kind of step out of the room for a couple minutes just to kind of compose myself. They really don't notice, and I was worried that it was going to be so obvious that that I'm not feeling well and that I don't want to go out for lunch and this and that. But no, people they don't really notice. So take that time to acknowledge that it's happening, and then observe and feel what it's doing to your body. Like, okay, my chest feels tight. I can feel this churning in my stomach. I can feel that maybe my stomach's getting a little bit upset. I feel nauseous. Acknowledge those things. Then get oxygen into your body. Most of the time when anxiety attacks come on, it's because your breathing is staggered and you don't realize it. So breathing steadily can help. So just getting some fresh air and breathing in, and 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, and just, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Really getting that oxygen into the body can really help. And then also, what else? Removing yourself from the situation where the anxiety attack started. Not forever, but for a few minutes, maybe going for a walk or just changing your surroundings can really help, because it can get you away from whatever triggered the anxiety attack. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions for other videos, I do fire performance videos. I'm going to start doing a series of videos about my experiences with anxiety, kind of a vlog thing. And I also have Asperger's. So if you would like to know anything about my experiences with Asperger's, you can ask questions down in the comments. And yeah, any other kind of videos that you want me to do, I'm totally down. Well, not totally down, but within reason, I'm down to do YouTube videos. So let me know. KJ Festy Bunny, out.